So once again, good afternoon, everyone. Today's topic is pretty interesting, is what I feel, because this vehicle that is in front of you, most of you might have definitely seen this vehicle somewhere roaming around your city from which you are in, or either near some toll plazas where these vehicles might be stationed. Also in the early hours during the morning, also you can see this vehicle roaming around. The camera that is above this vehicle might not exactly resemble the same thing that you might have already seen. That is because of ChatGPT's inability to exactly form a cup-based camera model despite me trying multiple prompts. So this is the best picture that I could create using this tool. So I generally used to think in the doctor's profession, that is the medical profession, they used to get calls at very odd hours. It is definitely related to life, definitely related to a sense of emergency. So we also might have many relatives who are doctors or friends who are doctors, and we might have heard many stories where they had to rush from their bed in 2 a.m. or 12 a.m., whatever the odd time that is. These days, vehicle interception has also become like this, similar to this situation. I will not say exactly the same urgency is there, but still the calls that we get is at very odd hours. So the generally the e-waybill expiry get expired at 11:59 p.m. So that might be the reason at the early hours the vehicle is intercepted. Might be very early in the morning or late at night. Even in other states also, the states outside Tamil Nadu, the vehicles are intercepted. So I just wanted to highlight the odd timing that we receive the calls before going into the topic. So this is our today's agenda. Interception. Where is this stated in the GST law? What are the powers of the officers? What are the procedure that the officers should follow? And what are the rights of taxpayers? And also the remedies that are available for the taxpayers through which they can get immunity from paying the penalty, or after making payment of penalty, what are the doors opened before them to seek relief. I have also compiled some of the common issues that we encounter while dealing in such situations, and also few case laws which are relevant to the most common and important issues. We'll see Rule 138 first. So the necessity to generally see that every registered person who causes movement of goods of consignment value exceeding 50,000 rupees in relation to a supply, or for a reason other than supply, or due to inward supply from an unregistered person. These are the three reasons which are specifically provided under Rule 138, which necessitates generation of an e-waybill for a transaction. So the part A of the e-waybill, in which the details and other taxable value, the goods, HSN, quantity, and those details are mentioned. And part B of the e-waybill, where the details of the vehicle in which the goods are transported is mentioned. So this shall be communicated to the government through Form EWV01. This is mandated here. So if you note, the consignment value exceeding 50,000 rupees is given in rule. Whereas for practical reasons, when we generate e-waybill, we know that if we are making and intrastate supply within the state of Tamil Nadu, the limit is 1 lakh. So where is it told that the limit when you move goods within the state of Tamil Nadu, there is no requirement to generate e-waybill if the total value does not exceed 1 lakh rupees. For that, we have to refer the notification, that is the notification number 9/2018. Quickly, we will browse through this notification because it is not just talking about this 1 lakh limit, it has more to offer. So this is the notification. Here you can see it is clearly mentioned that the consignment value of goods not exceeding 1 lakh rupees. So it is clearly mentioned here. This notification was issued on 31st of May 2018. And one more thing, another point number B. Here it is mentioned that the consignment of goods as listed out in the annexure, serial number 1 to 100, irrespective of value of the consignment. So what does this mean? See, through this notification, the Tamil Nadu state government has exempted the requirement for generation of e-waybill. If you are dealing annexure from serial number 1 to 100, it means that you need not get e-waybill even if the value exceeds 1 lakh rupees. Even if it is 10 lakh, 50 lakh, irrespective of the value. But mind you, this is only for intrastate supply. We will quickly browse through the list of this annexure, and if there are any goods which you are dealing in and you have a practice of generating e-waybill, maybe you can still continue to generate e-waybill for your internal compliance purpose and record keeping purpose. But if there is an issue, there is a issue at the time of vehicle interception, you can definitely say that this particular item or particular good that you are dealing in need not, e-waybill need not be generated for transporting this particular goods. And for that reason, you can contest with the officer and ask him to reduce the penalty or not the penalty at all. So there are many agricultural products that are mentioned here in the serial number. You also have the products like aluminum utensils, and then many other handicrafts, localized products. Many products are given here. See, later on you can check the notification in detail. I just wanted to go through this notification and convey to you that there is a very big list, that the list of 100 items are listed here for which e-waybill is not required for intrastate supply. I just wanted to convey that. For that is why I am browsing through this notification. So in the end of the notification, you can see that there are other products like woven fabric of cotton, silk, and all these things. These items are also exempted from generation of e-waybill. So this is the 100 list. So I will share this notification later on. You may refer it for your use. Now we will go back to the subject. So now that we are familiar with the basic exemption limit of generation of e-waybill, we also looked into the enhanced limit that is available for the state of Tamil Nadu and other items that are mentioned in the annexure for which e-way bill need not be generated. Now, from where does the power to inspect vehicle come? See, section 68 of the CGST Act along with section 129. 129 is separate. We'll come back to 129 later. And rule 138B. So 68 read with rule 138B. It gives the power to the proper officer to intercept vehicles and check the documents and related records. This is the section and rule that gives the officer the power to do this inspection. So, state government is only having the roving squad as of based on many zones. They have split into groups and they have squads that are covering the cities, and these squads will randomly stop vehicles and do the inspection. This is the section from where the power is flown to the officers. What about section 68? Sorry, please hold on for a moment. There is some issue in the network. Hello. Okay. Is the voice okay now? Okay, fine. Sorry for the interruption. So section 68 subsection 3 has listed out the manner in which the proper officer would conduct the verification. So after intercepting the vehicle, the proper officer would ask for the list of documents from the person in charge of the conveyance. So after verifying the documents, if there are any discrepancies, here comes the important part. So after inspecting the documents and also cross-verifying the aspects mentioned in the documents and also with the goods, if the officer feels that there is some discrepancy between the documents which has been provided, or there is any other contraventions in law which is apparent from the documentation which is available, based on this, the officer might proceed to detain the vehicle and invoke section 129. That is the proceeding which we are going to talk in detail about. So this is how the power flows from 68 after inspecting the vehicle. If the officer finds out that there is some kind of discrepancy in the document or the quantity, or if the transit of goods has violated any of the section of GST law, in that case, the officer would proceed to invoke section 129 and detain the goods. So what does this talk about? If it is in violation, as we already told, so if it is in violation, then the officer would detain. What are the options available to the taxpayer? First option, if the owner of goods is coming forward to pay the penalty. So in that case, 200% of the tax payable as per the invoice, 200% of the tax payable should be paid as penalty, and then the vehicle could be released. If the goods are exempted goods, in that case, 2% or 25,000, whichever is lower, can be paid and the goods shall be released. If the owner is not coming forward to pay the tax, in certain cases where the transporter is paying the tax, in that case, 50% of the value of goods or 200% of the tax payable, whichever is higher, shall be the penalty. And in case of exempted goods, 5% of the value of goods or 25,000, whichever is lower. So this is the quantum of penalty that has to be paid to get the vehicles released, vehicle and goods released. Is there any other option? Without making payment, can you get the goods released? You can also furnish a bank guarantee to the 100% of the value, and then you can get the goods released. That is also possible. You have to note that without passing a detention order, the goods cannot be detained by the officer. So generally, in practical aspects, all practical scenarios, we do not see proper service of all the forms by giving enough time period between issuance of each forms. That is not being followed in the ground level. So after talking to the officer, and the officer would highlight the discrepancy, multiple round of conversation happens between the client and the business person, the officer, and then the auditor also get involved in the later stage. And based on this conversation, if the officer is convinced that on the basis of some relief given by the state government or central government through some circulars or through some factual evidences or some kind of circumstantial evidences, the business person or the transporter himself is able to substantiate the genuineness of the transaction, in such cases, maybe the vehicle may be released without booking the offense. In other cases, 129 proceeding is initiated and all the forms are given in one go. So MOV forms, we will in the subsequent slide we will discuss about the forms, but all the forms are given in one go, and the order is passed, and the penalty is paid by the taxpayer, and then the vehicle gets released. This happens in a very short span of time, without much of time available for the taxpayer to deliberate the issue or give a very detailed reply. So this is what happens in the ground level. So this is the procedure which the officer has to follow. There are forms. These forms are called as MOV forms. This is basically a fast-tracked adjudication process where after the vehicle interception, the adjudication is also in a speedy manner completed by the officer, and order is also issued. So in certain cases where there is no scope for getting immunity from the penalty, the adjudication happens in 2 or 3 hours. That is very speedy adjudication. You can never anywhere see, under any law you can see such a fast-paced adjudication, but in GST you can see that. So there are many forms which are procedurally required to complete this adjudication. So MOV1, it is a statement of the driver. So from where he's coming, from where the goods have been loaded to the vehicle, all such things would be along with the name of the driver, and those things would be mentioned in this form. And then the physical verification is ordered by the officer. After that, the verification would be conducted, and after the verification only the detention is possible. Then after detention, there comes the show cause notice. Only after these procedures, the show cause notice will be issued. So after receipt of show cause notice, in certain cases where the taxpayer or the person who's the owner of the goods is not willing to pay penalty upfront, they would wait and see what are the other options which is available. So there are situations where the MOV7, that is a show cause notice, is issued, and based on the allegations that are mentioned in the show cause notice, reply is submitted to the department. But generally, in the practical situations, after booking the offense, it is very, very difficult to get it sorted out at that level itself. Maybe on a later stage, if you are preferring an appeal, and if you are going at the appellate level, you are able to get the orders modified. That is a different story. But at that point of time, if the offense is booked and if it has come up to the MOV7 stage, in very few cases, the penalty might come down and it might be a minimum penalty. But in most of the cases, the penalty that is proposed in the MOV7, that is the show cause notice, gets confirmed. So after MOV7, after giving an opportunity to reply to MOV7, then MOV9 order is issued. This is the order in detail along with DRC07, which is uploaded in portal. So DRC07 is a summary order, and MOV9 is the order in detail, in which the discrepancy or the offense that is committed by the person who is moving the goods will be mentioned in detail, and also the penalty, the quantum of penalty will be mentioned here. After the order is uploaded online, you can make payment and set off it against the order. That is one option. Or you can also prefer, mostly this option is being exercised. Many of the taxpayers are making the payment through DRC03 form by mentioning the reference number of show cause notice in the other remarks. So that is how the penalty is being paid here. So after making payment of penalty, release order will be issued in form MOV05. So this is the procedure that the officer follows when the vehicle is intercepted and some discrepancies identified. So this adjudication gets over here. What happens in a situation where you are doing business in the state of Tamil Nadu and you are having registration in the state of Tamil Nadu, and you are transporting goods to your customer located in another state, say Karnataka. So in that state, if you are transporting the goods and for some reason the vehicle has been intercepted by the officer, so there is some discrepancy also. In that case, a temporary registration will be granted to you in the state of Karnataka, and the penalty order, all the MOV forms, the adjudication happens through that temporary registration, and you will be making the payment of penalty in the state of Karnataka. Even if you prefer to go for an appeal after getting this order, you will have to file under the respective jurisdiction in the state of Karnataka. So this is how it is practically facilitated when your vehicle is intercepted in another state where you do not have a registration. What are the reliefs available here? See, there are some circulars which are issued by the central government, and also circulars are issued by the state government. The main circular, that is circular number 64/2018, which was issued, it has prescribed lower penalty for minor issues. You can see here, if the goods are accompanied by a valid invoice and e-waybill. See, in most of the cases, if you have a valid invoice and an e-waybill, and there are discrepancies between the invoice and e-waybills, and the discrepancies are of minor nature, that are of not very big significance. In that case, you might get away with a minimum penalty. So that is provided in this circulars. So you can have this circular as a, while mentioning your case, while presenting your argument before the officer when the vehicle is intercepted. So there are a list of issues which are mentioned in the circular: minor spelling mistakes, error in the PIN code. If the error in the PIN code should not affect the validity of e-waybill. See, if the validity of e-waybill is affected, in that case, it is not considered as a minor error. It is considered as a major error. Then the error in consignee's address, but the locality remains the same. 1 or 2 digit of the document number is erroneous. HSN code or vehicle number. All these things, all these mistakes which are bound to happen when human beings are entering data, definitely there is a margin for error, and error can happen. So even the government recognizes that, and they have issued this circular. On basis of these errors, you cannot be imposed 200% of penalty, 200% of tax as penalty. Here you can get away with a minimum penalty. So these are the reliefs that are given through the circulars. What is the other option if you have already made the payment of penalty? See, in that case, you can prefer to file an appeal before the commissioner appeals, deputy commissioner appeals in case of the state government. So the time period is 3 months without condemnation, and an additional month with condemnation period is given from the date of order. So here the MOV 9, that is also the order in detail, which is given to you in the physical form, and DRC 07, the summary order, which is uploaded online. So on reality, we see that we can file an appeal online only using DRC 07. An appeal can be filed only against DRC 07 reference number. That will only be allowed by the portal. So due to this, you have to follow with the officer who has passed the order, that is the MOV 9, and get DRC 07 uploaded online. Only after that, you will be able to file an appeal. So just by having MOV 09 as an order, you will not be able to file an appeal through manual mode. You have to follow the officer and get the order online to file your appeal online. That is the another remedy available for you. If you believe that there is no intentional, intention to evade tax is present in your case, and the mistakes that has been committed through documentation discrepancies are only minor in nature, in that case, you can approach the appellate authority, and definitely you have a higher possibility to get the order modified, and at least you can reduce the penalty. If it is a maximum penalty that you have received in your order, you can reduce it to 25,000 penalty or a 10,000 penalty. That is possible. Now we will go through the issues. What are the major or common issues that we face due to which penalty is levied at the time of vehicle interception? So one such issue is the mismatch in invoice number, value, vehicle number, address, date, quantity, etc. All these are the major components of a valid tax invoice, and also e-waybill. These details, but see, these days, most of you would be generating e-invoice and e-waybill. See, now the e-invoice limit has been reduced up to 5 crore turnover, so that most of the taxpayers would come within this ambit. And if you are generating e-invoice, then based on that e-invoice, the details will get populated to e-waybill. That is also available. Most of the billing softwares is providing the solution of integrated e-invoice and e-waybill generation. So most likely this error should not be happening now. Maybe the cases that are pending today, which were booked a couple of years back. So at that point of time, this was prevalent, and there were many clerical errors between the invoices and e-waybill. So when we were talking with many of the business entities, we identified that the major reason is because the person who is regularly generating the e-waybill or e-invoice, who's familiar with the process, that person, when that person is doing the work, there are no much issues. But when the goods are sent to the customers at some odd time, maybe after the normal office hours, late in the evening, night, or early in the morning, at this point of time, errors do happen because the person who is normally handling the work is not doing the work. So someone else is doing the work as a makeshift arrangement. So for this reason, we are seeing that many errors happen at this time. Using technology, you can definitely come over this issues, and the invoice and the integrated invoice and e-waybill generation has by far and large helped the business community to overcome these issues. So another common issue that we note is that the delivery address and the address as per the latest amended registration certificate. See, most of the companies would be having a vendor master. See, maybe smaller companies might not be maintaining a vendor master, but the companies that use ERP for their recording all the transactions and facilitating the business process, they generally maintain something called as a vendor master. And this vendor master at the time of creation is very much scrutinized and created. But later on, for some reason, if your customer is vendor or customer master, if your customer is changing their place of business or changing their address, how will you come to know that they have changed the address? So there have been situations where the customer has amended the registration certificate, and we have, based on the address available on our record, the people have generated e-waybill and they have sent the goods. So in this situation, the address would be correct, but what the officer will do, officer will be checking the registration certificate, and they will say that whatever the address that is in there, you have not mentioned that address, and they might proceed to invoke section 129 and later on charge penalty to you. So that might happen. So in this case, you have to be proactive. You have to send emails to your customers and also your vendors at regular intervals to let you know and update the addresses that they have added or they have modified. So that is very much essential. And what if you have successfully dodged the vehicle interception, the inspection at the time of vehicle interception? You have generated e-waybill and the value in e-waybill is wrong, but the officer did not intercept and the goods have reached the customer's location and the transaction is ended. So after that, this cannot be scrutinized. The goods in transit cannot be scrutinized. So in this situation, now we can see that in most of the notices that we get, if that one query that is asked is the difference between e-waybill report and GSTR1 report. The tax liability and the taxable value that is reported in GSTR1 is compared to the taxable value and tax liability as per e-waybill report, and reason for this difference is sought. So in one situation, we found out that in e-waybill, at the time of creation of e-waybill, instead of putting the value as 2,65,000, the person who was generating e-waybill incorrectly put the value as 26,50,000 by adding a zero. So this case, it went on to the assessment, and the officer is being skeptical here, and the officer, even though this is a clerical error in nature, but the officer is not allowing to considering the explanation and dropping the issue. So at the time of generating e-waybill, please ensure that there is no manual intervention and the system is automated in such a way that the data that is given in e-invoice and e-waybill is matched, And also at a later point of time, when you filed your GSTR1 return, you can do a reconciliation and ensure that all the data are on the same page. Next, bill to ship to transaction. So what happens in the bill to ship to transaction? Here you can see that there are three suppliers, so three parties involved. Fine. Okay, fine. Bill to ship to transaction, I will explain. So there are basically three parties, say supplier A, B and C. A is asking B to deliver goods to C. So this is the transaction. So in this situation, A is placing an order with B and he is asking B to deliver the goods to C. So B will be issuing invoice to A and delivering the goods to C. The invoice for C will be given by A. This is bill to ship to transaction in the most simple terms. So what happens in this situation? There are two transactions involved and two invoices will be raised. One invoice will be given by A to C and another invoice will be issued by B to A. So generally what happens, since B is the person who is making delivery of goods to C, B will be generating e-waybill based on the invoice issued to A. And through this e-waybill, B will be delivering goods to C. This is what happens practically in a bill to ship to mode of transaction. But if the officer is intercepting, he is creating a problem and he is asking that, see, the invoice which is raised by B to A, you have that invoice and based on that you have generated e-waybill and you are making delivery to C. Okay, fine. What about the invoice that is issued by the A to C? This is being asked by the officers in different situations. So what is the legal question, or is there any clarification given by the central government or state government in this matter? See, there is a specific press release which has been given by the GST CBIC. In that, they have mentioned that in case of a bill to ship to transaction, only one party needs to generate e-waybill, the person who is causing movement of goods. In our example, B is the person who is causing the movement of goods and B is making delivery to C. So in this case, one e-waybill is sufficient and A need not generate e-waybill on the basis of that invoice. So that is solved. Another question, what about the invoice that is raised by A to C? See, generally, this invoice will not be in the possession of B when B is sending goods to C. So you cannot say that B should carry the invoice that is raised by A to C. So that is also out of question. There are also multiple court rulings which support this stand, but at times the officers insist on producing that invoice also, and penalty might have to be paid. But these issues, you can definitely go for appeal and get relief from the appellate level. Next transaction is regarding the expiry of e-waybill. See, in this situation, we have seen in several instances when the vehicle is intercepted at the morning time, what happens? The officer used to wait up to the time of expiry of this 8 hours. You can see that there is a time limit that is given in the rules. You can extend the validity of an e-waybill before expiry of 8 hours or after the expiry of 8 hours from the expiry of original validity. So that is possible. So in this situation, if your e-waybill is expired on, say for example, 24th of May, it is expiring. 25th morning, you have 8 hours time. So up to 8 AM, you have time to extend your e-waybill. If the officer is intercepting before this time, before 8 AM, in that case, you can say that I have still time to extend the validity of my e-waybill, and I will do it now. You can definitely say that and get yourself immune from the levy of penalty. Many of the taxpayers or many of the transporters who operate the vehicles are not aware of this extended time limit that is given under the rules, and for this reason many have also paid the penalty. So you can keep this aspect in mind, and even after the original expiry of e-waybill, you have 8 hours time to extend its validity. Removal of goods for exhibition. This is more of a doubt related to generation of e-waybill. So there are certain transactions which are not outward supply or which are not sale transaction. In that case, goods will travel from the location or factory premises of the business entity, and it will come back to the premises of business entity again. And this transaction is not job work. In that situation, it might be machinery repair, it might be removal of goods and keeping it for an exhibition, trade fair, or so and so. So for these reasons, you can use delivery challan. So delivery challan is only a valid document under GST law with which you can facilitate movement of goods without issuance of tax invoice. So you have to issue a delivery challan along with any other document that you are having in which you mention the particulars of the goods that you are transporting. Along with that, you also have a delivery challan in which the particulars as per rule 55 is mentioned. You also take the contract that you have entered with the exhibition the persons who are conducting the exhibition or the event. You can also have the stall number that is allotted to you in an email or the document that you have signed. You can keep that as a proof, and along with that, a delivery challan. So using this, you can move the goods for exhibition. And there is a separate subtype that you can select while generating e-waybill. You can select as exhibition and then generate e-waybill for moving goods for exhibition. Next comes purchase return. See, in the case of purchase return, there are two types of transaction. One, the person who is selling the goods can take back the goods by generating an inward e-waybill. This is one transaction. Another transaction is the person who is purchasing the goods, that is the buyer. This buyer is sending back the goods to his supplier. So this is another option that is possible. So many people, many instances, for all practical purposes, you can see that the person who identifies the defect in the goods is the buyer. The first person who identifies the defect in the goods is buyer. At the time of making a GRN entry, the buyer will check the particulars of the goods, and for instance, they found that the goods are defective. In this case, a debit note will be raised by the buyer in their books of accounts. They will not record the full value as purchase. So this is the first transaction that happens in the books of accounts. What about from the perspective of GST law? There is a debit note here that is passed in the books of accounts, and in many cases, the person who is buying the goods are sending the goods back to their supplier on the cover of this debit note and an e-waybill. So this happens. What about the perspective of GST law? What GST law talks about this situation? See, a debit note is not a valid document under GST. There is no such thing called as a debit note under GST. You have to issue a credit note. The person who is supplying the goods can only issue a credit note. The person who is recipient or buyer cannot issue a credit. So you only have two options. Either the supplier has to issue a credit note and then generate an e-waybill on the basis of that credit note, generate an inward e-waybill, and then take the goods back to his location. This is one option. And another option, the purchaser, based on the debit note and the delivery challan. These debit note alone is not sufficient. Along with the debit note, you have to generate a delivery challan, and based on that delivery challan, you can raise an e-waybill and then move the goods back to your supplier through an outward e-waybill. This is also possible. These are the two possible way in which you can facilitate a purchase return transaction. Many cases where the debit note along with e-waybill is issued, the vehicle is intercepted, and the officer is invoking section 129, and 200% penalty is also levied on such transactions. When goods are moved in multiple vehicles, here also it is interesting to see this situation. You might get deceived by the plain reading of multi-vehicle or multiple vehicle. See, there is an option in e-waybill where you can choose multi-vehicle option and generate e-waybill. In that option, if you select, you can give the list of vehicles for one single invoice. For one single invoice, you can mention the list of vehicles in which the vehicle is transported. So we will see this, look at this situation from, we will bifurcate this multiple vehicle issue into two situations. In situation one, what happened? Here you can see that goods are being transported from location A to location B, B being the destination of goods. In between the transportation, in between the journey, there are multiple modes of transportation that is involved. So A to C, it is transported in rail, then C to D in a container, and then D to B in a smaller vehicles. So in this kind of a transaction, you can select a multi-vehicle option and facilitate your transportation by generating e-waybill. What about the situation where based on one invoice, there are many goods which are invoiced in one invoice, and the goods are transported simultaneously in multiple vehicles? What to do in such situation? See, in this situation, again, you have to rely upon delivery challan. Based on the original invoice, if there are 3 vehicles, then you have to generate 3 delivery challan and mention the quantity which you are transporting in each vehicles, and also you have to refer the original invoice in each of such delivery challans. You also have to carry a copy of original invoice along with these 3 vehicles. So through delivery challan only, you will be able to facilitate this kind of a transaction. So people often mistake this transaction, and they use multi-vehicle option for moving goods in this transaction, which is not the correct way of doing it. Multi-vehicle can be used only for situation one that is mentioned here. This might also be a reason where at the time of vehicle interception, the officer might demand 200% penalty. Non-generation of e-invoice. See, this might not be a situation today. Today, most of the business entities are much aware about the e-invoice implication and consequences. E-invoice and e-waybill are mostly complied with, and this is not much relevant today, but still I have mentioned here. For whatever reason, if you have missed to generate e-invoice for your transaction and you have a valid invoice along with e-waybill, in this situation, based on our previous experiences, I would share that at the appellate level, we have been able to get the order modified, and the penalty which we have already paid, we have got as refund. See, situation where the supplier was not able to generate e-invoice due to some technical issues or for some other technical reasons, e-invoice was unable to be generated. But e-way bill, a valid e-way bill is there, and also an invoice is there, basic tax invoice that is there, but IRN number is not generated. So in this situation, if you see the high courts across India, Telangana High Court, Madras High Court, many high courts, Kerala High Courts have given favorable orders on the basis of absence of intention to evade payment of tax. So basically, 120 section 129 prescribes 200% of the penalty when there is a document defect or a violation of law. So the appellate authority is looking this from a lenient perspective in certain cases where there is no intention to evade tax that is recorded by the roving squad or the person who is passing the order, MOV 9. So in that case, where intention to evade tax is absent, in those cases, this is seen as a procedural lapse. So being a procedural lapse, you might get away with a minor penalty, a lower penalty, or with a no penalty at all. So that is possible. At the appellate level, it is possible. What about a situation where you have rented out a new godown or a warehouse which you have recently taken to keep your goods so that you can make further supply. So we generally see that only at the time of vehicle interception, people come to know that this is an unregistered place of business and you have to add it in your GST portal. Or the people who are very much accustomed to vehicle interceptions, they are much aware that if you are taking a new place for rent, then you have to get it registered as an additional place, add it as an additional place in your GST Common portal. So what happens in a situation where you have asked your supplier to deliver the goods to your new warehouse and you have a rental agreement with you, but additional place of business is not added in the portal. See, this situation is specifically covered under the instruction given by Tamil Nadu GST department. There is a specific instruction which is given. Based on this instruction, you can see that if 15 days has not elapsed from the date of agreement, and at the time of vehicle interception, 15 days should not have been elapsed. This is in line with what is prescribed in Rule 19 of GST rules. So based on this, if 15 days has not elapsed, a lenient view is taken by the department and you can get away with a reduced penalty. But if you have already filed an application for amendment to add your additional place of business and you have an ARN, application reference number is available with you, in that case, no penalty will be charged to you. See, we have practically experienced this situation where we have already added the place as additional place, but it is pending with the officer for approval. In this situation, the vehicle was intercepted by a roving squad. And when we shared the ARN number to the officer, he then verified from his end by mentioning using the facility that is available with him. He checked whether the ARN number is valid and whether we have filed amendment for registration. He will also be able to check the address. So after checking that, he did not proceed with the 129 invocation of section 129, and the proceedings was not undertaken, and we did not pay any penalty. So please make sure if there is any additional place of business and where it is very likely for you to send any goods or some of your suppliers might send goods to that place, then please make sure that you add it in your registration within 15 days of entering into the rental agreement. Otherwise, you will have to definitely pay 200% penalty, and for any valid reason, you will have to take the appellate route and go before the commissioner to explain your stand. See, there was an interesting case where the vehicle was coming from Bangalore. The delivery, the final destination of goods was Dindigul. So you know that from Bangalore there is a highway that travels through Salem, Karur and Dindigul. There is a straight highway which travels through that line. But what happened? This driver who was in charge of the conveyance, the vehicle, his home was at Tirupur, and for some reason he had to travel to Tirupur that day, and he took a right turn from Salem. He came to Tirupur, and then after that he went to Dindigul for the delivery. In this time, in this situation, e-waybill was valid at the time of interception. When he was traveling from Salem to Tirupur, the vehicle was intercepted. Near Vijayamangalam toll plaza, the vehicle was intercepted. At that time, the same question, same query was raised. Why have you taken this route when you had a straight road from Salem via Karur to Dindigul? There is a straight road. Why have you taken this route? And the driver has told the officer that he had some work at Tirupur where his hometown is. He had some work, and after that he will be delivering the goods. It is within the timeline, and e-waybill validity is also available. But the officer held the vehicle there. He was proceeding to with the invocation of section 129, and he demanded penalty. And after multiple round of conversation, after explaining the case laws and after explaining these practical situations where these things are very common, you cannot say that if there is one route available, you have to only travel by that route. It is not possible unless there is an expiry of e-waybill. See, if e-waybill is expired, that is a different situation. If it is not expired, you cannot cast additional responsibilities on the taxpayers just because you have some presumptions in your mind. So that is not possible. So it is also well supported by the case here. You can refer the case later on, but this is the gist of this issue. So in this situation, whether the officer can invoke section 129 and charge penalty, it is not possible. See, at the time of interception, we might be in a panic mode where we will not be able to think all these things. But I definitely urge all of you to make a note of this. And for the sole reason that the driver has taken a different route, section 129 cannot be generally invoked and a penalty be charged on such transaction. This is another interesting case where there were 3 invoices. See, I will just quickly summarize the case laws. There were 3 invoices which accompanied a vehicle. In this vehicle, you can see here, one invoice is having a serial number starting with 53 and it is 29. And the second invoice is the same, having the same serial number starting with 53 and it ends with 30. It is the next invoice. And another invoice which is starting with the series 46. So based on these 3 invoices, the officer suspected that in between there were many transactions which are suppressed. The officer suspected and a case was registered and went up to High Court. So the High Court told that just because of presumption, the officer cannot invoke section 129 and charge maximum penalty. There has to be an intention to evade tax here. Intention to evade tax has also to be proved. Just because the serial number, there is a discrepancy in serial number, there is no other valid issue with Rule 46 or violation with any other documentation. E-waybill was also available, invoice was also available. So the transaction is already reported to government. There is no way to escape payment of tax. So considering all this situation, and it is also important to note the description given in MOV 9. Whenever an order is passed, if there is an allegation about intention to evade taxes there in MOV 9 or not. If there is no allegation, then there is a high probability for you to get the order modified at the appellate level. And the High Court has also taken a similar view and the High Court has given relaxation to the taxpayer. What about the situation where something is beyond control and then you have to take your vehicle back? See, after the incident that happened at Pahalgam in Kashmir, after 7th of May, after the Indian government's retaliation, Indian military's retaliation, then the situation became uncertain. Suddenly, we got many calls from many of our clients saying that they send some goods to north side for some exhibitions and all, but midway they had to come back because of this extraordinary situation. This is something that is beyond our control. So due to this reason, then we will be taking the goods back midway. There will not be any registered place also. So these are situations which are bound to happen because of these circumstances beyond our control. This might be a localized situation also. In some states, there might be some specific situation which is similar to what I have given here. So in such situations, whether there is some relief available, you can see that the courts have always reiterated intention to evade tax. They have always relied upon this fundamental principle for ascertaining whether Section 129 can be invoked or not. So maximum penalty under Section 129 can be charged where the officer has proven intention to evade taxes present. Otherwise, based on a mere allegation, for all practical circumstances beyond the control of the taxpayer or business entity, if e-waybill is expired, or if they are transporting from some other place to getting their goods back to their place of business, for these reasons, the High Court is of the view that the taxpayer need not be penalized. So these are the major issues I wanted to discuss. I think I have covered most of the important aspects that I wanted to share with you. So now we will take up few questions that you have, and then we will move on. Deepak sir, hello sir. Printing job received in Maharashtra, clients and material. We made some printing job in Karnataka, prepared DC and created e-waybill for job work material transfer from Maharashtra to Karnataka. When we sending material, finished the stock of government school book back to Maharashtra, either we make DC of material sent after job work or invoice of labor invoice. Sir, in job work transactions, the person who is doing job work will only raise invoice for the labor service. The value of goods you can mention in the delivery challan, and along with that you can send the goods back to your state, sir. Some newspaper printing clients and material for printing of newspaper for our branch, and same client material we can send to multiple branches through e-waybill for multiple. Sir, the second question I have not understood that clearly. I think for first question I have answered your question, sir. Akshay sir has asked about the goods sent through public transport. Sir, you have to generate an e-waybill if the value is more than the threshold, either 1 lakh or 50,000. Or you can also go through the annexure. If you are in the state of Tamil Nadu, you can go through the annexure, the list of 100 items that is mentioned. If your the goods that you are transporting is included in that list, then very well you can ignore generating e-waybill. Otherwise, you have to generate e-waybill, sir. Perumal Sami sir, you have asked whether e-invoice is required for export transaction. Definitely, sir. E-invoice is definitely required for export transactions. Also, you have to generate IRN number. Is there a requirement to put GST number of the ship to party in the invoice? Tirunavukarasu sir. Sir, generally it is not there in the requirement. In the example that I shared with you, between the transaction between A, B, and C, B is the person making delivery of goods to C, and B will be raising invoice to A. So in such situation, B has to generate the e-waybill based on the invoice issued by B. Need not mention the details of A in such invoice, sir. It is not mandatory. Satyamurthy, sir, how can we generate e-waybill to transport an additional trailer carrier on a vehicle as like same trailer from other state to Tamil Nadu? We don't have any invoice for the trailer separately. Sir, in this case, you can use an inward e-waybill and make the transaction, sir, facilitate the transaction, sir. I have not understood the question clearly, but from whatever little I understood, I think that you can use an e-waybill, inward e-waybill to facilitate such transaction. Ravi Kumar, sir, is you have asked to share the details. Yes, sir, definitely, sir. If driver crossed the destination, what is the situation? Prakash sir has asked about if driver crossed the situation. If the driver has crossed the destination also, if the e-waybill is not expired, ideally there should not be any problem, sir. Ideally there should not be any problem. Vanita ma'am, client is doing small civil construction work. He's not a builder, and the work will be for 10 or 30 days, where I have to add this workplace as additional place of business. Ma'am, you can have a contract, the contract between your client and the person who has given the contract. And if that person is registered, then that will be sufficient for you to say that that place is registered and you have a valid contract. On the basis of that contract, you are taking the delivery of goods in that location. Otherwise, if it is a regular work that you will be doing, then you will have to register it as an additional place of business. Chip to GST is mandatory in e-invoice and e-waybill. Sir, yes, sir, it is mandatory, sir. Srinivasan, sir, how to send material in company chairman personal goods? So personal goods, then anyway, if you have taken ITC already, you will be reversing it in your GSTR 3B. And as far as goods is concerned, sending it to the for personal purpose, you can generate an e-waybill along with the delivery challan, in which you can mention that it is for personal use, and then later on you can reverse the ITC also. Or you can upfront reverse the ITC, then have that as a copy, then transport the goods through a delivery challan, sir. That is possible. Able to create which vehicle number to be used. I said if this compulsory within city. Madhu, sir, you have asked whether e-waybill is compulsory within city limits. Sir, even if it is across the road, even if you are transporting goods across the road, e-waybill is compulsory. So there is no such thing if you are moving goods 5 meters, 10 meters within 1 kilometer. No, sir. If you are transporting goods for to weighbridge for taking the weight, then there is a small exemption that is available up to 20 kilometers. But other than that, you have to definitely generate e-waybill. Vijay Kumar sir has asked whether e-waybill is applicable for e-vehicle also. Sir, for all motorized conveyances, e-waybill is applicable. So if it is a non-motorized conveyance where using a hand pulling cart or something of that sort, then it is not applicable. Otherwise, definitely e-waybill is applicable, sir. Prakash sir, can we request government? Definitely, sir, through some trade associations or your industry bodies, you can definitely request the government, but they are not likely to consider your request, because they have been integrating the FASTag transactions, the RFID transactions, that when the state passes through a check post, all these transactions are very much integrated, and they are using that to follow the where the goods are going. So it is difficult. It might be difficult to convince them to move away with the requirement of e-waybill, sir. Ajay Kumar sir, okay, can you please once again explain the multi-vehicle option, one invoice and goods moving in multiple vehicle? Yes, sir. So your specific question is about one invoice and the vehicles and the goods is transported through multiple vehicles. So in this situation, there is one invoice, say value 10 lakh rupees, and it is transported through 5 vehicles. So in this situation, you can generate 5 delivery challan. Each delivery challan will have the goods valuing 2 lakh rupees, and consolidated manner, the 10 lakh rupees is covered. It will be transported simultaneously in 5 vehicles, and along with the delivery challan, you can also have the copy of original invoice number. The e-waybill should be generated using this delivery challans, each of the delivery challans. So 5 e-waybill should be generated, sir. Pradeepa ma'am, what is the maximum penalty? Some officers are saying 100% of goods. Yes, ma'am, as I explained in the situation where the owner of goods is not coming forward to pay the penalty, in that situation, 50% of value of goods under CGST Act and 50% of value of goods under SGST Act. So combined 100% of goods is penalty when the owner of goods is not coming forward to pay the penalty. Ilangovan sir, we have sent on machine for demo purpose to the customer. At that time, we issue delivery challan and e-waybill. Once the customer gets satisfied, later date, we will raise the sale invoice for machine already delivered. Since while raising the invoice, we are not generating e-waybill because no movement of goods at this time. Is it correct? Also, at the time of raising DC, no GST will be charged. But at the raising sale invoice, yes, sir, this is common practice, not an issue, sir. Later on, if you are getting a notice or if you are asked to explain this discrepancy, you can say that the goods were moved under the cover of delivery challan, and at that point of time, the supply did not take place. It was sent for approval basis, or it was sent as a demo. And after the inspecting the goods, the customer got satisfied, and then later on the bill was raised. So you can correlate the delivery has taken place under the cover of delivery challan, and the tax payment has taken place based on the invoice that you generated subsequently, sir. Can we request government to shift appeal proceedings to respective state or on request from concerned? Prakash sir, as on date, it is not possible, sir. You cannot request them to shift the appeal proceedings to another state, because the state in which the vehicle is intercepted, they will be charging CGST and SGST, and based on the temporary registration, an order will be passed. So considering this aspect, you have to go through the appellate proceedings only in the state where the vehicle interception happens, and it is not possible for you to transfer it to your state, sir. Maybe CGST department, if they are also having rowing squad subsequently, it might happen. Otherwise, it is not likely, sir. Ilangovan sir has asked, we haven't prepared the part B portion, so e-waybill gets discarded. Can we take this transaction while reconciling GSTR1 e-waybill report, whether it will be treated as generated? Sir, see, it will be treated as generated, but the goods is not moved. The officer can very well say that it is a bogus transaction, a fraudulent transaction, since there is no evidence in movement of goods. The vehicle number will not be mentioned, and there is no evidence that the goods have moved from the place of business of the supplier to the customer. So as such, if there is such situation, then within 24 hours, I request you to proceed to cancel the e-waybill, and on the basis of a fresh e-waybill, you can, facilitate the transaction, sir. Rajendran, sir, for e-waybill generation, is there any limitation for value and distance of the delivery destination? Sir, limits I have already discussed, sir, within the state and also in interstate. Shivakumar sir has asked whether we need to raise invoice for value within 50,000. Sir, definitely, sir. Invoice, you don't have in threshold limit, you have to raise invoice even if the value is below 50,000, sir. Consumer carry goods without e-waybill, later officer caught vehicle, in this case, officer send notice to me. Your invoice will be there with the customer, sir. The customer might be unregistered, or at that point of time, customer was not able to, the customer's e-waybill, sorry, GST registration number was not able to be identified by the officer. In that situation, there might be, for all practical purpose, there might be such situation. So based on that, I think the notice was served on you. You can discuss with your customer and identify whose fault it is, and if it is possible for you to recover the amount from your customer, they can prefer payment of penalty, or else then you can request your customer to pay the penalty and then get the vehicle released, sir. Ilangon sir, yes, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So due to technical glitch, sir, in this situation, I would request you to take a screenshot, sir, because at the time of appeal, or at a later stage, when we talk to the officer or the higher level at DC or someone, when we talk to them, the technical glitch cannot be just like that, told orally, sir. There has to be some kind of evidence to support your statement that there was indeed a technical glitch. It might be a technical glitch for everyone, because you can see that a couple of months before there was some issue with the e-invoice and e-waybill portal. It generally happens. Definitely it happens. But you have to have some screenshot or some evidence as a proof for technical glitch, so that you are unable to generate the invoice or e-invoice. In that situation, what you can do as an alternative, you can also make a list of the invoice, the physical copy of invoice and e-waybill, and send it to your jurisdictional officer and get it signed before transporting the goods. In that situation, if the vehicle is intercepted, you can very well say that, see, I have shared the details of transaction to my jurisdictional officer, and then only I have transported the vehicle. Hari sir, on behalf of A, B is moving goods and e-waybill. When A not required to raise e-waybill, but R1 versus e-waybill never match, department will issue notices how to convince department, because they need proof only. No oral request to be. Sir, in this situation, as I told you earlier, one e-waybill is only sufficient. You need not raise another e-waybill for this transaction. You explain the nature of your business, and you explain the necessity as to why the goods are being delivered by your supplier directly to the customer. It might be for meaning cost advantage or logistical reasons, or you might be acting as an agent. So for whatever reason, this is a permissible business model, and you explain it to him or her, and then try to convince the officer, sir. Just because you have not raised e-waybill, it doesn't mean that the goods have not reached the destination. In bill to ship to transaction, there only one party raises the e-waybill, and you can definitely convince the officer if you are able to explain the business model clearly. If e-waybill raised but forgot to cancel, and the same transaction notified by the department for tax liability, so this situation you have to deal it case to case basis, sir. Then you have to definitely visit the department, convince the officer what happened, and all such things. It can be sorted out only across the table, not just by quoting any provisions of law. Prakash sir has asked, what is the role of transporter? So transporter can, if you have generated part A, transporter can update part B, and there is also option for the transporter to extend the validity of e-waybill, because they will be in the control of vehicle in movement, sir. If the transporter issued same e-waybill on behalf of SSC without any intimation, then what will happen? Sir, I did not understand Sappan sir, about the question that you are asking. The same e-waybill means the e-waybill which is already cancelled. If you are moving goods with cancelled e-waybill, then definitely the officer will proceed to invoke 129, and the penalty will also be invoked, sir. It is very difficult in that situation. Madhu sir, is e-waybill mandatory for exempt goods like sewing seats, sir? So generally for e-waybill, you have to look at the threshold limit, sir. For exempted transactions, no, sir. Prakash sir, yes, e-waybill not generated can be questioned during adjudication. Yes, sir, definitely. If you have reported a sale in GSTR 1 and you are not generating e-waybill, but for the business model, if for the specific situation of your business model, your supplier is generating e-waybill on your behalf, in that case, you can substantiate. Otherwise, it is difficult, sir. If your business is in such following such model, you can very well get the list of e-waybills generated by your supplier if it is possible for you to convince them, and then have it as evidence to explain the officer about movement of goods. So I think we have I have tried to answer almost all the questions. If there are any other pending questions which I missed to answer, I request you to mail us or put across a message. So I request each one of you to keep supporting us in our following webinars, upcoming webinars also. So your suggestions are also most welcomed. Thank you so much. We'll meet in any other few future webinar sessions. Thank you.